Welcome back to The Wandering Screen. I'm Matt Koss, and today I'm looking at Blumhouse's latest horror film, The Woman in the Yard, so let's get into it. The Woman in the Yard is the latest thriller from director Jaume Collet-Serra, known for The Shallows with Blake Lively and Orphan. The script is written by Sam Stefanak, who isn't exactly a horror film veteran, but more on that later. The story follows Ramona, Danielle Deadwyler, a recently widowed mother of two, to teenager Taylor Peyton Jackson and younger Annie Estella Kahija, as she struggles to cope with the sudden loss of her husband. Ramona's emotionally distant from her children, hobbled by a leg brace that stretches almost to her thigh that's a result of the accident that killed her husband, and is getting around on crutches. This forces Taylor to pick up the slack. The family is struggling. Bills are piling up, no dog food, and the electricity is out, leaving Ramona unable to even call the electric company when her phone dies. To top it off, their house is a fixer-upper, located in the middle of nowhere next to an empty field. It's a constant reminder of the life she's trying to piece together. Then, one morning, after breakfast, a woman draped in black appears, sitting upright in a wooden chair in the yard with her palms gently crossed. Ramona approaches her and asks what she's doing there, and the woman replies in a sing-song voice, "Today's the day." With no way of getting rid of the woman, and as she inches closer to the house with the setting sun, Ramona must find a way to protect her family and her own sanity before the woman gets inside. First off, I want to say that studios should be taking more risks on original scripts like this, rather than relying heavily on existing IP. This is exactly what vocal award winners like Richard Gadd had been calling out for in their award speeches. The industry needs more imagination and storytelling. This script was featured on the blacklist of best unproduced screenplays, and with a budget of around $12 million, The Woman in the Yard did well in its opening weekend. It's not a small budget by any means, but more can be made at this price than a $250 million blockbuster that struggles to break even. Stefanak's screenplay sets up intrigue in the story's first act and is heightened by the visual storytelling that adds depth to each scene. The framing of Ramona lying in bed glued to a video of her husband on her phone as one of her kids tiptoes in the background shows us so much. The bedroom's messy. The kid is cautiously approaching. Ramona is unmotivated to get out of bed. The imagery is loaded with subtext. And by the end of the first act, we have the sudden appearance of the woman in the yard. And it's such a great introduction that really peaks when Ramona asks her if she's lost, and the woman responds, "How did I get here?" It's a fantastic, unexpected line that instantly pulled me into the mystery. But, unfortunately, the script doesn't capitalize on that initial confusion. Instead, it spends more time inside the house, where Ramona has a pretty memorable outburst, smashing her husband's old mug to pieces as she rages at Taylor. But how her emotional unraveling resolves in the final act is less convincing. Maybe what's missing is a stronger commitment to exploring Ramona's mental state. There's potential in the way the story shifts perspective, particularly when it suggests that Ramona could be capable of something murderous without even realizing it. A tense scene where Taylor goes looking for their missing dog, Charlie, adds to the atmosphere that feels disconnected from Ramona's psychological unraveling. Deadwyler is fantastic here. Her performance is entirely convincing, and the film is strongest when we're rummaging through her mind and trying to uncover what is real and what's not. There's this really fantastic use of fragmented memories that evoke the cyclical nature of reliving trauma. Ramona triggers back to the accident, and the moment shards of glass erupted beside her head. It's an effective portrayal of her internal struggle, but it's strange that the memories only focus on the crash, the dinner before it, and the car ride. The film hints that Ramona might have been trying to escape her life in this house and return to the city, but it doesn't fully explore her relationship with her children prior to the crash or even in the recent aftermath. She's an artist who moved to the city willingly to fix up a house with her husband, and she's no longer happy about it. And the screenplay drops these hints, but it's present-day frustrations rather than accumulated baggage overspilling at the appearance of a woman in the yard. The reason to watch this film is because it's shot by the brilliant Paweł Pogorzelski, who was the cinematographer behind Midsummer and Hereditary. The woman in the yard, particularly in the first half of the film, is absolutely breathtaking to watch. He uses wide lenses often to show distance and depth. When Ramona approaches the woman in the yard, she stops a few meters short of a dirt road, standing against her crutches under the shade of a very large tree. On the other side of the dirt road is the woman in the yard, sitting in the direct sunlight, and the shot is taken from a bird's eye perspective and is so visually expressive, balancing this disparity between light and darkness and questioning who is in the light and who is in the dark. Inside the house, Pogorzelski uses depth of field to create space, framing the rooms to show the disarray of the home, while also maintaining its lived-in homey feel. So much of the storytelling happens within these beautifully composed frames. Visually, he does more for the film than the screenplay does. The problem really lies in the twist. The film suggests that Ramona's depression and suicidal ideation has led her into the woman in the yard's realm. There's a possibility that she might have killed her children, but it's perhaps left purposely vague. I'm pretty sure she stabbed Annie, but it's unclear when Taylor's death happens, if it even occurred at all. But it's also the question of the backward R. Annie keeps drawing it, and which realm is she in and when? But the puzzle pieces aren't exactly clear. And perhaps that will add to the rewatch potential of the film, but without that emotional crux, that confluence of past catching up with the present and informing how Ramona got to this point, beyond her husband's death, the film ultimately feels hollow. Look, the craft of the film is excellent. Lorne Balfe's score, which is this staccato strings reminiscent of Jaws, heightens the suspense beautifully. But the twist revealing Ramona as the woman in the yard feels too simple, too obvious. The reveal is no more surprising than learning her husband died in a car crash. That's familiar. It leans too heavily on those familiar tropes. Stylistically and tonally though, the woman in the yard works. I just wish there had been more substance to the story.
Today's the day.
You've made it to the end of the video. Subscribe for all the latest film and TV reviews, and give this video a like, and let me know in the comments section below what you thought of The Woman in the Yard. See you next time.